Hello, I'm the Grandmaster Alvar Alonso and welcome to this first volume on the Caro Kann. I've always been a very energetic player and a very risky lover player, and the Caro Kann helped me basically control a bit my impulses, and with these cards I try to push forward some of the ideas I've been playing in the Bundesliga and World Rapids, events, European Championships, since the Caro Kann has been part of my main repertoire since I was 15 or something. So here in the first volume we'll go through what I think are the most relevant variations in the Caro Kann, which are e5, and here we'll go through to c5, and here I'll consider the trickiest variations, even c3 suggested by Giri recently, dc5, which is, well, one of the main lines as well, and here the most concerning line I would say is knight f3, because after cd queen d4 this position has been very rough lately for black, and we'll go through all the critical stuff. And what I feel it's necessary here is that some alternatives will be given to variations that are so deep and so complicated, I would say, since the theory has gone very far, and the Caro Kann has been lately a very interesting weapon to play for the win, and many players have decided to just play the Caro Kann almost exclusively to play for the win, because this kind of imbalance in general on the structures already in move 2 makes it so the structure is a bit different all the time, and experience is quite a lot of value. So here in the first volume we'll also go through the classical variation. Here we'll talk about knight f6, which I feel is the most reliable weapon lately. It gets to very strange pawn structures that white usually struggle to face. Like, if I recall correctly, with this structure I have like 8 wins and no losses already in classical time control. So in my experience it feels dull at first glance, but white usually struggles to make sense of this knight, and it ends up costing quite a lot. And finally, we will be covering knight f3, and after d5, d3, which is one of the maybe most concerning lines. Like, people who play the Caro Kann who go for the win are a bit tired, because after d, queen d1, king d1, I mean, you can get equality here, but it's hard if white plays the most. I mean, here white can play knight fd2, but here we'll recommend h5, and basically we can create some kind of counterplay. But usually what happens is after knight d2, black's main task here is to exchange most of the pieces and get to some kind of drawish endgame. So we'll be covering some alternatives. We will check in queen c7, we will check in g6, and we will be taking a deep dive in why those positions are a bit trickier, what are the risks, so you know it, so you can face them. And the approach with these cards basically would be to give you weapons to play for the win most of the time. Some suggestions that, okay, obviously now in the era of very strong engines are not that playable, but I always try to play some to tease some risk variations, and I feel like nowadays it relies a lot of memory and you can actually play around it very well. So without further ado, I hope to see you in, and I hope you enjoy this first volume in the Caro Kann.